going on? Phew. Had dinner with some friends of mine. Whether you care, whether you don't, whatever. Had dinner with some friends of mine, and they sold a car tonight. Looking at some property and stuff like that, so good for them. Tell you what, you know, I don't know if I got any viewers that enjoy sushi, but I really think my list of places I'll return for sushi is dwindling by the by the day. You know, I went the other day to a place, and it was actually, and yes, I did change where the camera is because it's so dark out here. You're not gonna be able to see anything with the other view anyway. But I mean, the place tonight, it was expensive, which, I mean, I like sushi, so you know, I kind of paid a fair amount, but still, I mean, you know, normally what I'd eat probably be about $50, 60, you know, $50 at a mediocre place, $60 at a nice place. But man, it's freaking $80 route, and then because of that, you kind of got to go like a really different route. And this dude is kind of pulling out into my lane. Right, what are you doing? It looked like they were in my lane. I think they were in my lane for a little bit. But yeah, definitely staying out later than I should have, but whatever. I don't have a whole bunch of hours to work tomorrow, like I said in the last video, so that'll be alright. And of course it's raining right now, so yay. But at least I'll be able to test and make sure that, cause I do know that, cause I put the bed cover on it. You know, it's one of those things when you don't see a friend in so long, so you kind of end up hanging out way past what you should be out, because, you know, and then got about an hour drive back home. So, and I'm also taking a little bit of a different route to get home. It's actually country roads. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like driving country roads and stuff, but sometimes they can be a bit frustrating. Come on, GPS. And especially with the crap this thing's doing, because it's like, you know, I think because it wants you to take, it's like, I don't know, or I might have changed some setting. There might be some setting of changing this goofy thing. I don't know. Don't really know. And you know, as I said in the last one, I don't come here enough, so I don't particularly remember exactly which roads to take, and you know, one of those, I know you're telling me to take a left, but I know if I take a right, you'll put me on the fast route anyway. So, look, I should definitely be on the interstate by now. Should definitely be on the interstate. Oh well. I'll still be at the house by a decent hour. You know, I'll tell you what, I kind of miss, I say I kind of, I really do. I really miss it. When I was staying out of that hotel, for a little bit, and if you remember from some of the earlier vlogs this year, and I really thought I was going to shoot one video a day, but that didn't really happen. Just whatever. I really thought I was like I said, I thought I was going to shoot more than, shoot at least a video a day or so. But what was I about to say? And of course, I was watching something the other day, and the guy was talking about different cameras, and the guy mentioned it was basically like, people buy these small cameras, like they'll buy a GoPro or even one of these, DJI Pocket 2, their little gimbal camera, and they'll attach it to a rig with a mic and a light and all kind of accessories on it. And it's like, by the time they get all that stuff on there, it's like they go from having this camera, it's like this small little compact, little pocketable camera, massive freaking, camera rig, and it's like, come on now.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto US 51 Business Southwest Railroad Avenue.
So I think what they did is, instead of putting me on the interstate, they basically put me through the back, basically made me take the freaking back roads. Lovely.
Take the second left onto US 51 Business Southwest Railroad Avenue.
So I've been this way years ago. I'm also kind of trying to be careful here, because there is a road, not a roadway. There's definitely a roadway. Exactly where I'm at. I really think I know exactly where I am at right now. Come on.
Continue on US 51 Business South for 1.5 miles.
Yeah, I'm exactly where I think I am. And it's exactly what the thing did, is took me through basically the back roads out of here, which is freaking stupid. I guess I'll take the blame on that one, because I should have paid attention to what the GPS said. Concerned with getting to the house.
In a quarter mile, keep left at the fork. Follow signs for New Orleans.
I was more concerned with yeah. It's like I get it. I get that my
keep left at the fork.
I get that my lights are relatively. Trucks have factory LED headlights, so
continue for 1/2 mile.
They are bright, and then it's kind of like when you're in a car and I have really bright headlights. It is what it is. You kind of get used to the little cars flashing their lights at you, but it's like,
merge onto I-55 South.
It's like, sorry, nothing really I can do, because I have my low beams on. I should probably slow it down a little bit, because it's not foggy. That's the steam coming off the road. It was about 90 degrees today. back on the interstate now. Moseying my way on back to the house. Hooray. Yeah, but it's like, I had that happen years ago. I was coming back from vacation, and it was basically, drive cross country in a Jeep Compass, I was only gonna have the vehicle for like 2 days or so. It's 2 days worth of driving, and I mean, obviously, you kind of pay a premium when you rent a one-way. So, of course, it already costs a little bit more, but I ended up upgrading the vehicle to an Escalade, and that had and this was the year where, like, I don't know if they still make them this way or not, but it basically had, the LED projectors, same type of headlamp my truck has, like, bulb and housing kind of thing, but this was like a column of them. Like, it was like, there was like 3 or 4, I remember. At least I believe that's how the headlight was made, but I mean, these lights were like, they were like mine. They're bright, they're crisp, they illuminate the roadway beautifully, but because just like with my truck and with that SUV, it sits up a little higher, so obviously even with my lamps pointed correctly, if you're in a little car, I mean, my lights are still extremely bright. So, and it's honestly kind of comical when, like, the cars, there's always little cars that are like, have like the old yellowed and faded headlights and stuff, and they're sitting there flashing their lights at you, and it's like, you're not really, like, you're so much lower than me, and your brights don't even really throw light that high up. So it's like, and there's nothing I can do because I don't have my brights on. It's like, what do you want me to do? I can't turn my lights any lower. I mean, but all I could really do would be to turn my headlamps on, put my fog lights on. So it's just one of those. It is what it is. But yeah, man. Tell you what, and that restaurant I went to, I mean, the food was okay, but the food for the price and the quality and the service, it just, like I said, 40 or 50 bucks, not, the 80 bucks that it cost. 40, 50 would be reasonable for that. For the quality of the food, the service, and everything else. So, but you only sometimes, certain friends that you only get together. I mean, and I guess that is really no excuse, but I mean, sometimes when you only get together with certain friends, a little bit of the year, a few times out of the year, just because of schedules and busyness and everything else. You kind of, it is what it is. But yeah. It's kind of comical, like, I haven't even been this route that I'm taking right now. bar that runs that complete length, and it's like set behind it. And I feel like that either that's like the design on the newer models or the design on the models that are weighted for a higher load or something. I don't know, but I do like that, like the thought of that one better. This one is like that spring on that release is real strong, and it would be better if the slides sit up a little bit more in the bed, but you really can't grab it, wrap your finger deep onto it, because if you do, then you're going to end up curling your fingers under and you'll slam your fingers and rake it across the bed liner material. So I definitely have some criticism about the product. I think it's a good design. It works well, but I think there are some things that they, I guess you could say, overlooked, or some things that I think could be done differently. Like personally, I think they should have made it to where you can like have some kind of catch instead of like where you have a lighter spring on the pin. I don't know. Because I guess the way they had that it works, you really couldn't do that because it's I think it just pulls on a cable, so it kind of, I guess, need the end of the pins to help push them back into where they go. So I was thinking, if it was like a linkage or something, you might could have something that, like where you could press a button and release that lock handle and pull it out, and it would be under no tension. And then whenever you want to put the thing back in or lock it into a place, wouldn't really work. But I think too, the more you use it, that those springs are going to kind of get worn in a little bit. So just open and close it, probably 10 or 15 times now. You're not really working those springs much. But I think after you open and close it for a year, 2 years, I think it'll be a lot easier to open and close. Like I said, I kind of wish I wouldn't have stayed out so late, but on the same side of that, glad I spent some time with my friends, hung out with them a little bit. That's one thing I've never minded. I've never really minded driving at night. Like, I think it's just, I did so many years. I was thinking about this earlier today. I did so many years working on nights that, it's like my body can still, like, it's no problem for me to stay up, on a night if I'm going to work the next 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, just, doing anything. I guess that's, and I guess, I've always kind of been able to do that. Like, even from when I was in high school, I would, I had some groups of friends and stuff, and we'd get on, way back in the day, we'd get on AOL Instant Messenger, and, we'd stay on there for maybe 2 or 3, 4 in the morning, or, because even if, like, say you got off of chatting with everybody at, like, 2, you might end up staying up, looking at something for another couple hours, and, it end up being, like I said, 3, 4 in the morning. So it's just, crazy thing is, like, on this road, it's one of those, like, I would be tempted to go take the old road, but it being at night, just stay on the elevated road I'm on right now. But also, if it was, daytime, I would probably actually, well, I wouldn't have to be getting to the house to get to bed. But, you ever have some of those times where it's like that little dangly thing in the back of your throat, like feels like you can't swallow? Like, it feels like everything's getting hung up back there. And it's like you get worried, it's like, did I forget to swallow? Or I forget how to swallow, I should say. Yeah. But I mean, if it was daytime, I mean, I'd totally go, on that old road. It's kind of crazy, like the way this is long before my time, but like the way this road is, there's this road, which is the elevated, and then there's the old road, and then in some parts, and I mean, I'm sure right now, destroyed, but there's like the previous road, and like that previous road, like, that's like people like my dad, have driven that road kind of thing. I mean, like, and like, I mean, driven it like when they were probably, in their 20s and stuff, which, you're talking 50 or so, 50-ish years ago, 60 years ago, really. But, I mean, it's insane, I was talking with some people the other day, and it's insane when you look at different areas. When you talk to like some of the people that have been there for their entire lives, or have been there for, a considerable amount of time, 30, 40, 50 years or so, and they're able to recall like the changes, and it's like, oh, I was the only house on this street, and this was all woods back there, and we remember when they expanded this and made this a 2-lane highway. It used to be a single lane on each side or whatever. And there's some areas like where it was like built up as like a neighborhood, and then the interstate came through, and they basically like their streets were like, you could tell where the street just dead ends. Like, and I think a lot of that's like how just like I've been to some communities where like you don't see it, and you talk to the people, and it's like, oh no, this whole area was like a planned development, where like everything was done with a purpose and with a reason, and my watch thinks I'm walking right now. Where everything's planned, pre-planned. I mean, of course you're gonna have some stuff that as changes are made, reasonably you can't expect, okay, this is how it is now, in 20, 40, 60, 80 years, that things aren't going to be, different, because obviously they are, but, some areas where you can tell, like, a lot of planning and forethought went into things. And then you can also tell places that were just built, and just the changes in the world, and those changes took place. There's even some of the areas where, like you look at it and it's like they're tearing down old homes and coming in with, brand new, beautiful homes and stuff, and, not to get too, into that discussion. Some people, and they're like, yeah, that kind of screws the property value for people, because, people that rent, yeah, it's great for a homeowner, because then their property that they may have bought 10 years ago for, I mean, maybe more than 10 years ago, we'll say 10 years ago for, say, $100,000, because, the property value is going up because some of the older homes were torn down, and now there's, nice new homes there. It brings their property value up, too, so. But like with renters, yeah, them, because then the landlord's like, well, the house is worth more, so now you're not renting a $100,000 house, you're renting a $150,000 house, and so I can be charging you, instead of $1,000, I can charge you $1,200, $1,300, $1,400. I'm definitely oversimplifying a lot of stuff, but and it's like, well, I can either rent the property or I can sell it for more than I paid for it and walk away with a considerable amount of money. But then these people that are renting there, it's like, or some of the landlords do that. They take and just decide, hey, I'm gonna sell the property and bye bye. But I heard something the other day that and somebody was talking about that in some developments and stuff, or I think it was somewhere in Canada maybe, that they passed a thing to where they're basically putting the interstate here and hop on the other interstate, that they're basically banning people that in this town going through 7 months ago, they had Hurricane Ida come through here, and man, this place got as they say, ripped a new one. Sorry, you're gonna get a little windy for a second. This whole area got beat up by the storm, and if I had time, I'd go. While I'm going through this little town here, I'd take you and go right along the other route for a minute, and then hop back on the interstate. But I mean, this little town's tore up still. I mean, and this isn't even an area. You can go even further south. I mean, it's even more tore up. But it's one of them things. Put that window all the way up. Yeah, but they in that town per se, they put a thing where it's like, no, if you're from out of state or out of town or country, whatever, if you're not a local, basically, you're not allowed to buy property in that area. And I think that's a good thing, because in some of these areas, people that are basically buying property as investment, they're kind of hurting the locals and screwing things for the locals, because they're not buying at local economy prices and what the local economy can sustain. I mean, they're buying what people that are these people that aren't even buying a property to live in, or they're buying them but to be an investment property, and it's not fair to the locals. So that's kind of, I guess, and I'm gonna wrap on this. I'll wrap it up on this. I'm not rapping. But like on Oculus, you can buy, like, they get one of the things, I think it was the creating the Oculus or something, Omniverse, creating the metaverse or something, which they're like, and I was reading it, it's like, there's a whole big thing, you can get into that. But what I was reading is that, like, basically like 500 coins in the game, and there's some things where, like, if you want to buy a piece of property and it's expensive, but also the way it works is like you buy on whatever floor, and then basically other people that buy are going to buy on the floor beneath you, unless you sold yours. So it's like, basically you could buy a property, and if you'd have bought the property a long time ago, you get what I'm saying. So it's kind of interesting. But anyway, I'm going to go back to listening to the radio, so I'm going to wrap it up on this one. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.